Before the name 50 Cent meant anything to the rap game, before the diamond chains, the power TV deals, the vitamin water empire, or the 30 million records sold, there was just Curtis. A kid from the crack-stained corners of South Jamaica, Queens. A boy born into fire, forced to become a man in a world where love was a liability and loyalty could get you killed. His story didn't start in a recording booth, it started in the trenches. And every bullet, every betrayal, every heartbreak carved something deeper into him. This isn't a fairy tale. It's a survival story. And survival stories don't have happy beginnings, they have trauma, pain, and a lot of blood. Curtis James Jackson III came into the world on July 6, 1975. Raised in one of New York's most dangerous neighborhoods, South Jamaica wasn't just rough, it was lawless. In the 80s, the area was in the grip of a full-blown crack epidemic, and the violence that followed was biblical. You couldn't walk to the corner store without watching your back. Guns were everywhere. Bodies dropped weekly. And respect? You didn't earn that through words, you earned it through fear. If you made it past 18, you were lucky. If you made it past 25, you were a legend. His mother, Sabrina, was a product of that world. She had Curtis when she was just 15, still a child herself, but she wasn't soft. Sabrina was a hustler. A real one. Not just slinging dime bags, she was knee-deep in the drug game, running her own operation. She was bold, ruthless, and unafraid. She wore leather jackets and drove luxury cars. People respect her. Some feared her. But in the streets, being feared isn't a shield, it's a target. And when Curtis was just 8 years old, that target caught up to her. Sabrina was murdered. They said it was a fire. But everyone in the neighborhood knew it wasn't an accident. Rumors flew. Maybe she got set up by a rival. Maybe someone close to her betrayed her. Maybe it was jealousy. Maybe it was business. No one gave a clear answer. And that silence? It haunted Curtis. One moment he had a mother. The next he had nothing. Just grievance. Just questions. Just pain. From that moment on, he had to grow up quickly. There was no shoulder to cry on. No father figure to guide him. He was shipped off to live with his grandparents, who were already raising 9 children. The house was crowded. The food was scarce. And the love was stretched thin. He wasn't their child. He was the boy who reminded them of the girl they lost. A ghost living under the same roof. At school, he didn't fit in. And on the streets, he was just another mouth to feed, unless he figured out how to get his own. And that's exactly what he did. By 12, he was in the game. Not because he wanted to be, but because he had no choice. He started out watching. Then bagging. Then moving product. He learned quickly. The code. The politics. The danger. He knew which cops could be snatched, which fiends could be trusted, and which dudes would stab you in the back the second they smiled in your face. By 14, Curtis had a nickname, Boo Boo. But Boo Boo wasn't a joke. He was serious. He wasn't flashy like the other hustlers. He stayed low, kept his mouth shut, watched everything. His mind was different. He treated the drug game like a business. He wasn't addicted to the lifestyle, he was addicted to the strategy. The money wasn't the goal. The power was. His first arrest came at 16. Then another. And another. But every time he got smarter. Learned the system. Studied who snitched. Watched how the law worked. He wasn't scared of prison, he was scared of wasting his life. Prison just gave him more time to think. And what he thought about most was getting out. Not just out of jail, but out of the game. Because deep down he knew even the smartest dealers end up dead or locked up forever. Then something changed. He saw a new way. A way to flip his pain, his stories, and his hustle into something bigger. Rap. Not the rap you hear on the radio. Not the dancing, not the jewelry, not the gimmicks. Real rap. Street poetry. Truth. The kind that makes your skin crawl because it's too real. The kind that doesn't ask for sympathy, it demands respect. He started writing. Started recording. Started molding his trauma into bars. And when he spit, people listened. His voice wasn't polished, but it had weight. He didn't rap like he was pretending to be something. He rapped like someone who had already survived it all. There was a coldness to it. A rawness that couldn't be faked. In 1996, 50 caught the attention of Jam Master Jay from Run DMC. Jay taught him how to count bars, structure songs, and record like a professional. That mentorship changed everything. He was no longer just a street rapper, he was becoming an artist. But even as he stepped into the industry, he brought the streets with him. He didn't clean up his image. He didn't try to fit in. He doubled down on who he was. Then came How to Rob, a track that shook the industry. 50 didn't just make a diss track, he called out the whole game. Jay-Z, Nas, Big Pun, Missy Elliott, even Wu-Tang Clan. It wasn't personal, it was strategic. Shock value. Marketing. But the industry took it personal. Rappers were offended. Labels were nervous. And just like that, 50 went from nobody to the most talked about name in rap, for better or worse. He was on the verge of blowing up. Columbia Records had him in the studio. A debut album was in the works. The streets were buzzing. But the streets never forget. In May 2000, everything changed. Outside his grandmother's house, 50 Cent was shot 9 times. Face, hand, hip, legs, bullets everywhere. He almost died. And whoever pulled the trigger wanted to make sure he did. That shooting wasn't random. It was a hit. Some say it was because of his lyrics. Some say it was deeper, tied to the drug world, tied to secrets. Whatever it was, it put his career on hold. Columbia dropped him. Industry doors slammed shut. Doctors told him he might not walk again. Might not talk the same. Might not ever rap again. But 50 wasn't built to fold. He healed. Slowly. Painfully. But he healed. His voice changed, it got lower, darker. His jaw had a slur now. But that slur? That became iconic. He started recording again, not for radio but for the streets. He flooded the mixtape scene. Dozens of tapes. Hundreds of songs. He was relentless. And people started paying attention. Not just to the music, but to the myth. Who survives 9 shots and comes back rapping harder than before? Who gets dropped by a label and turns themselves into a legend through mixtapes? Only 50 Cent. And when Eminem heard one of those mixtapes, that was the final spark. Eminem brought him to Dr. Dre. The two saw what the industry missed, a monster. A marketing machine. A real one. And they gave him the platform to burn the whole game down. But that story? That's just the beginning. Because the man who came out